All right. Well, welcome everyone to this year's Leadership ITE Shark Tank. Welcome to our sharks. Thank you for joining us today. We have five teams presenting, and they all have some great ideas going for their team projects. And so we would love to hear your feedback and kind of like where they can go with their projects that you think would be the most impactful for the organization. Understanding that these projects are meant to help them use kind of the skills that they're learning in class and practice, as well as give back to IT as an organization and something they're passionate about. We'll have presentations of about 5 minutes, and then from there we'll have about 10 minutes of Q&A for that specific group. After that, Kathy will give us a hard stop so we can just make sure we're staying on track with the groups as well. You're more than welcome to enter your questions into the chat as we go. And then also at the end, if you'd really like to come off mute and ask a couple of things during that Q&A, you're more than welcome to. We'll be monitoring it myself. Oh, hi, I'm Ana Maria Torres. I'm the chair. I guess I should have said that. And then we have Beth Ostrowski and Erica Bailey, who are this year's first and second vice chair as well. So the three of us will be monitoring the chat as well as like helping the groups transition between. So with that, where are we at in time? We can go ahead and get started. Sarah, I'm sorry. I messed up the order already. So we're going to start with our team two. They got some fun team names this year. They're called Yeah, We're That Team. And I hope I said that right for you. So we'll go ahead and hand it over to Corinne if you want to go ahead and start sharing your screen.
Yeah, thank you, Ana Maria. I really appreciate that. And I'd like to thank the Board of Directors, ITE staff, and the Leadership ITE staff for preparing this for us to be able to present our topics today. So before we get into our topic, I did want to share a little bit about our team. Yeah, We're That Team is our name. We're comprised of Kamar, Caitlin, John, Chris, and myself. And I just wanted to share a little background on how we even came up with that team name. So in this bottom corner, you'll kind of see this graphic that we were given during our first Leadership ITE class. We were all asked to take a test that gave us our leadership DNA. And when our team was formulated, you can see 4 out of the 5 members are in the lower half of that circle where they move really carefully. So when they're looking and working, they like to look at all of the information. They're not making quick decisions and moving very quickly. They're just taking everything into careful consideration before they take steps forward. And then there's one of us that's fast paced. So when we had asked Shelly a question about the topics related to Shark Tank, she was like, wait, let me see your team again. And she looked at our sheet. She's like, oh, you're that team. So that was the genesis of our team name, and I thought we'd share a little bit about that. Interestingly, it also helped us understand that we are very uniquely fit to work on a technical topic. That's something that we all really decided on really early on, is that we wanted to focus on something technical that could help move an ITE initiative forward. And so we also decided that we wanted to focus on something that was related to people-centered mobility. So after a little research, we determined that duty of care is something we really wanted to focus on. And the duty of care considers all users with the focus to save lives and create healthy communities. So some of you might think this is initially formed in this ITE Safety Roadmap and Action Plan, but this topic was actually brought up in 2022 when a group convened to really talk about duty of care. There was also an ITE Journal article that was published during that time that expressed what the duty of care mindset is and how it could be incorporated into ITE. And so this concept was embraced by the International Board of Directors and was incorporated into their strategic plan as well as the ITE Safety Roadmap and Action Plan. The duty of care is also a working group of the People-Centered Mobility Great Idea Group. And last year, there was a big implementation push for the duty of care mindset into ITE infrastructure. So like I said, there's a strong support from this topic from the top down. So we really felt like this was a good space for us to really dive in and see where we could help move this forward. Through that, we reached out and shared our topic, and some some people of interest were identified for us to connect with because it was safety related. We also connected with Luana and Alex to learn a little bit more about the duty of care, what's been done, where there's gaps, and where we can fit in to help. And so what we found out through talking with Alex and Luana is that the duty of care group is split up into three separate groups: the Resource Hub group, the Champions group, and the Case Study group. And the Resource Hub group is focused on identifying what exists in the world as it relates to duty of care. So what resources are out there that apply this mindset, and how do they do it, and do they do it well? The Champions group is ensuring new products incorporate this mindset, and the Case Study group is finding real world examples of the duty of care mindset or imagining about these conflicts and how they're resolved in the world. And so when we asked Alex where the gaps were, he really focused on the Resource Hub group. And so that's where we identified where we would fit in. So we want to support the Resource Hub working group. We have already started integrating into it, into that working group. We're going to be going to their meeting on Wednesday to learn more about it. But based off of the discussion that we had, we really feel like we're set in a position to help them develop a framework to evaluate existing technical products and potentially include 2 or 3 example evaluations. And so what that could look like is creating a matrix that helps us understand how to evaluate existing documents based off of that duty of care mindset, and then finding 2 or 3 real world technical products that show that, as well as applying that framework, and then again identifying what IT resource hubs exist today and what that could look like in the future. And so of course we have a direction, but we are going on Wednesday to see if if this is a direction that would be helpful for the working group and to push this initiative forward.
On.
And with that, we're open for questions. Perfect.
There you go. Awesome. Thanks for explaining what that team meant. I was interested. So, do we have any questions for this team and kind of what they're looking at doing? I did see, just for clarification, thanks, Matt, for adding in the chat. Alex refers to Alex Rixey, who is the vice chair for the council leadership team and is a champion for duty of care. So definitely have the right people connected with you guys already, which is great. Okay, well, I guess I'll ask a question. In terms of what y'all were saying, you're thinking about developing a framework. Is that, and maybe this might be a question for Matt or someone else who understands the needs for that. Is that going to be too big of a bite, or is it, just about the right bite? Or maybe we just, after the conversation with the work group, might actually kind of funnel down a little bit better? Any thoughts?
It looks like Peter has his hand raised, and I don't know if it's in response to this or it's not.
Okay, cool. So maybe that's just my question, something to keep in mind as you go through, just making sure that when you talk to the working group, that that is like a manageable bite for you guys to complete in such a short time frame. Not to say that it is or isn't, just my thoughts. So cool. Peter, you had your hand raised first. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
In response to your question, Anna Maria, I think this is a doable piece. It's like, because it's
Awesome.
one little bite of a bigger apple that they're going to be working on and kind of supporting. So when I first saw this, I was like, oh, duty of care, we're taking care of that. But when they kind of narrowed it down to this specific aspect of it, I was like, oh, that could be very helpful, kind of thing, at least in my mind. So I don't have any concerns about it being too big or anything for them to do.
Perfect. Thank you. Peter.
Yeah, thanks. I'm super excited to see John Davis in this group because I feel like he's like the cheat codes because he's already been involved in the duty of care. So I'm really excited to see what y'all do with this. I think it's been a fun conversation that I've been engaged in as well, kind of combining this with the safety pledge. And I think, yeah, to the extent that you're bringing Alex in, that's exactly the right next step to see where we can take this, where y'all can take this, and how we can support you. So yeah, excited for the next steps.
Awesome. That's good to hear. We do have a question from Karen in the chat. Will you consider how motorcyclists are addressed in documents in your matrix? They are very overrepresented, well more than bicyclists, and fatal crashes and typically forgotten. This is some food for thought. Did that come up in y'all's discussion at all, motorcyclists?
So this matrix was something, this is an example of something that was kind of thought up previously. What we're planning to do is discuss with the working group what they've done so far and kind of adapt it from there. And this is an excellent point, and that we can take and make a note of it and take it into consideration as we move forward with the working group.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for that, Karen. Any questions for this group? Okay. I think we're just about at time anyway. Well, if I didn't say earlier, y'all are more than welcome to also stay after the ends of the presentations if y'all want to chat with one of the groups a little bit more. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next group. Thank you so much, group team 2. So now we'll go to team 3, and we'll have Rakesh sharing his screen. This is team work.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are presenting Licensure to Leadership. This will be a framework focused on strengthening young professional engagement and retention within ITE. And like Anna Maria said, we are teamwork. We are formed of William, Alex, Rakesh, and myself, Carla. Together, we bring experience across student chapters, young professional leadership, and district involvement. And we come from the public and private sector and bring about 45 years of experience combined. And we have all seen this challenge firsthand. Now, before I even tell you about what the issue and problem that we found, let me reiterate this. ITE does an exceptional job in engaging with the students. We have a strong student participation, over 2,000 student members and young professionals within a global organization of about 19,000 members. But after graduation, that engagement drops sharply. We are losing future leaders at the exact moment their career should be taking off. And this drop-off isn't random. It happens during the transition from students to early career professionals. And one of the biggest gaps during that transition is licensure. FE and PE exams are major career milestones, yet there is limited structure support within ITE. And as a result, young professionals are forced to seek external prep courses, often costing $1,000 to $2,500 out of pocket. This is not an interest problem. Our young members want to stay engaged. This is a transition problem. And that is exactly what our framework will be designed to address. Our solution is the Licensure to Leadership framework. This framework will be designed to close the gap between graduation and long-term engagement by building a clear supporting pathway from licensure preparation directly into leadership within ITE. And we're already seeing the demand for this type of content through initiatives like the Back to Basic webinars hosted by the ITE Young Member Committee, which show that young members are actively looking for that foundational career relevant support. So the framework we present today builds on that momentum by providing a structured, recurring FE and PE support rather than one-off events. This framework will be standardized at the national level, flexible for districts and sections to adapt locally, and built entirely on ITE existing structure. This will make it practical, scalable, and ready to pilot. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, Carla, but how will all this work? The Licensure to Leadership framework will be designed to be simple, consistent, and scalable. We propose monthly virtual FE and PE study sessions. They will be approximately 60 minutes each, and they will be led by volunteer experts. Yes, our own people, practitioners and faculty who has been there and they've done that before. These sessions are open to students, engineers in training, and early career professionals, and are organized nationally while distributed through districts, sections, and chapters. The key here, people, is accessibility. We are reducing barriers while keeping members connected to ITE. Now, here's where the long-term value comes in. Every session is recorded and stored in a centralized study library within the ITE Learning Hub. That means that even if members can attend live, the value stays in ITE. And over time, this becomes a permanent professional development asset that improves students to professional conversion. It increases young professional retention and develop future leaders at a low cost using existing ITE structures. So what do we ask from you, Sharks, today? Well, we ask for your support to pilot this framework and coordinate with the district board and young professional shares. And in addition to that, we also ask for a dedicated space in the ITE Learning Hub for this study library. Let me reiterate this one more time. ITE already invests heavily on students. Licensing to leadership is the missing piece, the bridge that keeps members engaged through licensure and onto the path to leadership. By supporting young professionals when it matters most, ITE builds a stronger, more engaged community for the future. And with that, teamwork, thank you for your time and your attention, and we welcome all of your questions.
All right. Thank you. We already have a question in the chat. So Karen asks, what kind of data do you have that shows that student members aren't becoming ITM? Oh, what lack of, due to the lack of data? Oh, I'm going to read this wrong, Karen. I think she's trying to ask, like, what data is out there. No, go ahead, Karen.
Can you hear me? Sorry, I hit
Yes.
return so soon. I wanted to find out what kind of data do you have that shows that the reason student members aren't becoming ITE members is because of the lack of training for the PE?
This is Alex, and I'll field that one. We don't have specific data that says that is the cause of it, but we looked at it from the standpoint of how do we help make that jump, continuing those student members and giving them a benefit to keep them engaged in ITE as they move forward through their careers. We as a group all went through this, or we're going through it, of going, hey, we're studying for the PE exam or the FE exam. It really would have been a benefit and kept us more engaged in the group if, as a collective group, ITE offered some study materials to help us pass the exam.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Farouk, I see your hand up.
Yes. So this is a great topic, and I just want to ask you two questions, I would say. One is, how can this expand more on the global side? Because in the global, they usually don't have like the FE and EIT, or FE, EIT, and PE. And the second question is, have you thought about expanding this to our own, like PTOE, PTP, RSP, all those certification as well? Because that's more in line with global. But have you thought about that?
I can take that question, Alex. On the global side, yes, we have thought about it, and especially the PE being more specific, as far as we know, more specific to North American continent. We kind of contained our extent of what to cover in this recording, in these study sessions, limited to PE and FE. About the second part, expanding to PTOE, RSP, we have also thought about ASCP as well. ITE already has learning material, I believe paid learning material for PTOE and RSP that are available on ITE website. So that's why we haven't included those other licensure in this program. But certainly, research in building up this project, if there are any gaps, those two would be surely considered in the final content.
Cool.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and pull into the chat a few things that were happening there. So Becky, and I think some of these things might be fleshed out with part of your framework, things to think about. Becky asked if there was a cost that would be related to the monthly webinars. Something to add there. I don't think y'all mentioned that, which is totally fine. That's not necessarily something that had to be fluffed out now, but something to think about. Do they have to be ITE members to participate? Okay, so William, I see William shaking his head. So I think that might have been the thought process, similar to our webinars, at least being an IT member. But something that could be leveraged, Danielle was saying, as a way to get more people integrated into ITE, something to think about.
And I'll field that one, Anna Maria. We had
Yeah.
discussed it from a high level concept that ideally this would be ITE members or student members transitioning into that professional role. So long as they're affiliated with ITE already, that's what we were trying to do, is to keep that affiliation, to make them realize what a benefit it is to be a member of ITE, and to keep growing that membership and strengthening that community within ITE.
Perfect.
And
then
we
Sarah
hadn't,
did.
like I say, we hadn't thought about any charge being related to it, because again, this is a benefit of being affiliated with ITE, that we hadn't thought that far ahead. From a monetary standpoint, that wasn't something that we really considered.
Gotcha. And then Sarah did ask, have you been able to connect or are considering connecting with the student to younger member committee program committee? I will say, Sarah, we are going to get them in touch with one of alumni mentor that's formerly a part of the YMC. So that's who we anticipate for you guys there, but definitely who we're going to connect you with is the YMC. And then, I mean, Peter also added, he was also thinking possibly the Education Council. So something to consider as some of your contacts as you fluff this through. And then I think we already hit, Steve, your question on, expanding it to the PTOE, PTP, and the RSP. Something to think about there. And then to you, John Davis. I see your hand up.
Thank you. So just a couple things. One, a lot of the material that has already been published that are refresher materials for both the PTP and the PTOE, as well as the RSP, likely have benefit to someone who's studying for the PE. So just, I think you were kind of alluding to that, but I just wanted to bring that out a little bit more. And then the last thing is the AICP differentiates from the PTP in that the PTP, you do not need to be a member of ITE to obtain that certification, but for the AICP, you do have to be a member of APA. And I would suggest that you have some focus to help draw people in that are not members, or have an option that you don't have to necessarily be a member, because it will then allow the individuals who were student members, maybe they've lapsed, and now they can rejoin, or they see the value of joining again. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
All right. Thank you, John. Any last questions for our team? Teamwork. All right. No, that generated some great conversation. Really looking forward to hear about that. Thank you, teamwork. Yeah, we'll go ahead and move on to our next team. Not to be confused, but the team name, Fantastic Four, Trickery. There's 5 of them, but they're Team 4. So, all right, Tarek.
All right. So, hello, Sharks. This is Tarek Lotfi-Kamal. I'm excited to present our project idea. The project is the Roadway Ahead Succession Strategies to Strengthen the Transportation Profession. We'll dive right into it. So our team is the Fantastic Four. Our team includes Annabelle, Gabe, Neil, Nikki, and myself. Together, we bring 4 different personality types and 1 adapter. So why succession planning? Succession planning in our industry is critical because our industry is a critical industry. It impacts public safety, service reliability, and long-term infrastructure performance. And today, our industry faces many challenges. One of those challenges is the retirement wave that is ongoing at the moment. We have a lot of seasoned professionals that are retiring or nearing retiring. We have a rapid change and evolving landscape when it comes to technology and policy, and the transportation needs continue to accumulate over time. Succession planning is not just a workforce planning, it's a strategic tool for risk management, professional development, and future proofing organizations. Without it, agencies risk talent gaps as well as loss of institutional knowledge, project delays, and erosion of public trust. Effective succession planning spans every level of the organization, whether it's technical, non-technical, managerial, or support staff, and ensures that the workforce is ready for the future. So our project aims to build a high-level framework for succession planning. Through the framework, we would be able to identify gaps and needs and proactively prepare talent across all levels of any organization, whether public or private. The framework will help organizations mitigate risk, preserve knowledge, develop workforce capability, and address many of the challenges that we discussed earlier. So what are we proposing to deliver? We're proposing to deliver a framework or a high-level framework for succession planning, and that would include a quick bite summary of best practices when it comes to succession planning, and maybe templates or for either a succession plan or any kind of evaluation or survey that would help you effectively deliver a successful succession plan. And then at the end of the project, we would also prepare a presentation going over the best practices for succession planning within our industry. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
All righty. Anyone have any questions for the Fantastic Four? Well, they don't have the, but I keep that in there. So, I guess, yeah, my original thought as you were talking was that's a lot, but also it can take a lot of different shapes, I guess, because when you have like public agency versus private, and how those kind of policies make it a little sticky sometimes. So just something to think about there. Erica.
Thanks, Fantastic Four. One resource for you, and maybe someone can help me remember. There was a webinar series last fall. I know Michael Sanderson was involved with it, and it was related to business transition, that kind of thing. Kind of felt very much on topic. I'm not sure if you guys know about that one, or if someone can help me fill in the title of that.
It was done through the Consultants Council, so they had a 3-part webinar series. So yes, but it was done last year through the Consultants Council.
And the chat just started blowing up. We'll start with Julia. Where will you get input for your project?
A lot of the inputs are going to be based on just industry standards, as well as any available resources from FHWA or industry-wide research, such as ONET or any other public government provided research.
And then you asked, how will you know you're successful at the end of this project? Like, what is going to be your judgment for that?
It's if we can help organizations deliver successful succession plans that are simple enough to follow through the workflow, and then be able to have a succession plan in place, I think that would be the measure of success. I think the goal here is to just prepare a workflow and a high-level framework. I think the framework would be generalized enough to fit any kind of organization, whether private or public, and then leave the details up to whatever agency that's performing the succession plan to fill in all the different details for their own organization and make it their own. So this is just a high-level, step-by-step process for how to achieve a successful succession plan.
I will say there are quite a few agencies, not agencies, but definitely consulting firms, especially that have transitioned, especially smaller firms, when you look at them changing. We may know a few people within the Leadership ITE chairs that are doing that right now. So that could be someone to like also gauge off of. So we'll be able to help and talk through that. Becky asks, in addition to retirement, I suggest that you consider best practices to prevent mid-career burnout as well. Ooh, that's good, Becky. Yeah, because your succession planning isn't always people who are, on their way out of the industry, but they might also abrupt succession planning is something to think about too. Great, Becky. And then Steve said it's a broad audience you're considering. Can you also include succession planning for volunteer bodies like DSCs? I was actually thinking that as well. When you're transitioning, especially people who have been involved in the organization for really long locally, and then maybe they're transitioning out into like the district side, but then where's that information? So that's something I think a lot of ITE members could also be interested in if you want to look at that perspective too, something to consider.
Yeah.
Oh, Kate adds in mid-career burnout and promotion, so that's a good one. And then Karen, following up on Becky's comment, how do we help the nearly 50% of women who quit the engineering profession in the industry? It's a really good question too. So some other things to consider. So claps for that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So any other questions or input for the team? I mean, I love the chat blowing up, but you're also welcome to raise your hand. I think we got a couple more minutes. All right. If there's nothing else, thank you so much, Fantastic Four. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. And so now we are going to go to Team 5, Light Up. That's how I'm going to say it, but feel free to correct me. Audrey, I'll have you go ahead and share your screen.
That's great. Exactly how we say it.
Yes.
Okay. Are we good? Can you see?
Yep, you're good to go.
Awesome. So yes, we are Light Up. Our group consists of Tom Hartman, Lindsay Francis, Omar Shams, and myself. And our focus for our project is to encourage safe and active school travel, building on existing K through 12 STEM initiatives, shaping the safety awareness and mindset of young people, and developing good habits starting in elementary school. And our mission statement is that we will light up a lifelong foundation of safety for our youngest and most impressionable vulnerable road users. And we will introduce the safe system approach early to develop their roles and responsibilities into instincts. So our proposed topic aligns with the safe system approach under the safer people piece and safe road users. So we want to focus on educating children and families about how to safely interact with the transportation environment. And this also fits into the ITE Transportation Safety Roadmap and Action Plans. We've highlighted here a few of those areas, specifically student engagement, identifying and developing K through 12 traffic safety education resources, participating in safety awareness programs and campaigns, establishing a safety pledge, and facilitating community implementation of the safe system approach. So some of the concepts that we have discussed include vulnerable road user behaviors while navigating safe systems, like whether you're walking, cycling, or rolling, knowing to look both ways before crossing, understanding that a walk signal doesn't mean it's automatically safe, safety around buses and other vehicles, specifically large vehicles. And if you can't see them, they can't see you, meaning if you can't see the driver, they can't see you. And then we also have looked at some real world examples in our communities and discussed that related to these principles and why they really matter. We also are hoping to build upon some prior initiatives, specifically within Leadership ITE. There's been a couple in the last 3 years. The Bright Light Group in 2023 looked at K-12 transportation safety campaign. They wanted to create a transportation safety mascot similar to Smokey the Bear, and we thought that would be a really powerful topic, and hoping to maybe see where they might have left off and work with them on next steps. And then the Inno Safety Solutions Group from last year, who discussed how to help local jurisdictions implement the safe system approach. So tying into both of those things. We've also looked at a couple local agencies to where we live in Ontario, Canada, active school travel program, and then Frisco, Texas, as well has a safe youth transportation. So this is an example of the Ontario active school travel program trying to promote healthy movement and mobility to school. And then the Frisco, Texas program has pledge resources for kids and adults and teens, and just how to use the system and that kind of thing. So what we're looking to have as our outcomes would be something kind of similar to what's shown here, like maybe a one page or a flyer that ITE could sponsor as a national resource for schools and communities to help fill these gaps so that they are not all having to make these resources on their own. So yeah, it would be flyers distribute at schools, potentially creating some grade level appropriate lesson plans, games, pledges, kind of like in the roadmap where kids would take a pledge similar to the DARE program, and then creating quick bites on these issues and just more shared data and resources. So next steps, we'd be looking for feedback from IBOD, from the people involved in the safety action plan and some of those prior leadership ITE teams about where they left off and how we can move forward with those ideas. So that is the end of our presentation. We'll take some questions now.
I'm a STEM advocate, so this is exciting. Yeah, I haven't seen the city of Frisco Fire Safety Town, but it's really cool to see like a signal in action like that for kids. So, any questions for this group? All right, okay, this hits. Okay, so Matt says this fits perfectly with the ITE safety roadmap in action, SE4, identify and develop K through 12 traffic safety education resources, which I think y'all mentioned. I heard safety roadmap somewhere.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
That was one of the ones we called out. Yep.
Love that. Yeah, so that's great. Fantastic. Already in line with some of the IT stuff. Thank you, Matt. And then Kate, did you consider developing videos TikTok adjacent to appeal to the audience? Have we thought I'm not a TikToker, but
yeah, I think that definitely would be a great resource for sure. Not something that we specifically talked about, but I think that definitely would be a good avenue in addition to like flyers and online resources and that kind of thing.
Danielle says safe routes to school is also a great resource. I was making sure I have that. And then, okay. And then Peter says, as a lead of the safety pledge, he's happy to talk more about that connection and he loves a safety mascot idea. I do too. I was a DARE kid. And we're talking Smokey the Bear's back again. So like, how fun is that? Love that.
Yeah, so Danielle will know we have a Andy is like a dog mascot for Montana Department of Transportation that appears in some commercials for safety, but it's mostly the ones I've seen are about drunk driving. So something along those lines.
I want a mascot. All righty. Any other questions for the team? I mean, we have the pre-K through 12 STEM committee as well that has been talking about some different initiatives. So I'm sure once something gets through with this project, definitely having their input and adding the deliverable to their resources as well is something to keep in mind. And their input throughout the process. We'll probably be able to connect y'all with the STEM committee as well.
Cool.
All right, Kate says, identifying a set of books for each age group and getting them published together on Amazon so you or a company could buy them for your school district and donate them to others. Also another idea, something like that. And then Becky shared an interesting concept in the chat. So something for y'all to take a look at. I didn't click on it yet, but Fair Hope walking school bus. Look, just trying to teach adults how to drive around school buses is a conversation I constantly have at the beginning of every school year with our office. So that's also something to talk about. All righty. Any other comments for this team? All right. Awesome. Well, in that case, thank you so much, Team Light Up. I love the pun too. Uh, all right. So our last team we have for y'all today is going to be Team One, Rams. And so we have Sarah, who's going to share her screen. All right, over to you, Sarah. Oh, it's almost there. There it is.
All right. Can everybody see my slides? I'm going to go with yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so our project is called ITE 360. ITE has an incredible ecosystem of resources, education, certifications, publications, and volunteer pathways. And our project is about making that value clear, accessible, and actionable for all of our members. So as Anna Maria introduced, we're Team RAMS. We are raising awareness for member success. We're a group of transportation professionals from diverse backgrounds, all actively engaged in ITE, and this idea comes directly from our lived experience as members. Specifically, our members are Rakib Islam, Ariel Greenlaw, Mike Soloka, and I'm Sarah Adzid. So the challenge that we've identified to focus our project on is that ITE offers a rich ecosystem of resources and opportunities, but it seems that many of our members aren't aware of all ITE has to offer. Their fragmented discovery of those resources and opportunities leads to their missing some of the value and engagement opportunities that are available within ITE. There are a number of reasons why we think this might be happening, but one potential culprit is generalized societal overload. We are all getting a lot of information thrown at us at any given time, and we can only really process a tiny percentage of it. Another aspect is that many of our resources and opportunities within ITE are necessarily complex and multifaceted, and it can be really challenging to engage with them if you're not already aware of some basics. You kind of have to know, in a lot of cases, to know. One other possibility that we've noticed is that it does seem there might be a little bit of a lack of meaningful connection between the district, section, chapter kind of level organizations and the wide array of opportunities at the international level. So our solution to this problem is ITE 360, an engagement campaign aimed really at three key audiences: practicing professionals who are looking to up their game, emerging leaders who are looking to take the next step on their careers, and section and district leaders who need clear and consistent tools to really better articulate the complete ITE value proposition beyond the activities that they're proposing and working on locally. ITE 360 proposes to offer lightweight, brand compliant, and scalable features, which are designed to be used at ITE at all levels, developing at the international level, but adapted easily by sections, districts, chapters, and student chapters. Some potential options for content components are choose your path member journeys for those of us who aren't sure what the next step in ITE is. Another option might be some audience-specific brand compliant one-pagers, which might help kind of convince your boss as to why being involved in ITE is a good thing to support your membership, to help showcase ITE for some student members, or to highlight key opportunities and resources that we feel really need that extra attention. We're also considering an inside ITE engagement hub to help highlight opportunities and give a forum for members to ask about and explore those opportunities together. We're really hoping to be able to create some plug and play content for the districts, sections, and chapters for them to use where they are already interacting with their members. They can help us to open the doors to internationals opportunities for their members who really engage primarily at those local levels, at those in-person district and section meetings, or through their newsletters or online with them. We're also considering some targeted social media content for LinkedIn, kind of in that same plug and play kind of vibe. And did you know sections within ITE's regular communications, like the journal or the spotlight? Did you know about the Traffic Engineering Council? Did you know how to get involved with it? That kind of thing. So why we really think this matters is that we want to make sure that every member really feels they're getting their money's worth from their membership, and has the opportunity to engage with ITE however they want to, not just however they already know how to. We're also hoping that this leads to increased utilization of ITE's resources beyond those which are widely known, as there's a lot of seemingly hidden gems throughout the organization that aren't the trip generation manual. Everybody's producing all these great quick bites. We've got great technical opportunities, and some of that stuff is a little bit under the radar. The whole effort is intended to be scalable and will be informed by the results of the current all-member survey once those are back, but also hopefully some of the previous all-member survey, and maybe a little bit more question and exploration with staff and with DSC leaders about kind of what's missing. ITE 360 is intended to help members get more value from ITE and help ITE get more impact from what it's already doing well. It's about clarity, connection, momentum, and helping members explore, engage, and elevate the organization and the transportation profession. With that, we'll open the floor up to questions.
All righty. I personally love the idea of targeted LinkedIn as someone who runs a LinkedIn for a district. Let me tell you how easy it was to plug and chug when they sent out the all-member survey. It was super quick and simple. So, any questions for this group? So I would ask, as someone who I didn't start in ITE as a student, but I got involved as a younger member pretty early in my career, I would say. But what do y'all as a group feel like is the biggest thing that's missing with keeping that engagement there? Because I mean, I feel like once I got engaged, I stayed engaged. But is it just getting people to the engagement level or keeping or both? What's the priority that y'all are thinking?
I can go ahead and take this. And Ariel, please feel free to chime in. There's kind of two parts. So there's getting people engaged at the beginning if you're not a member already. That's definitely one component. But the other is once you are a member, like what do you do here? How do you get involved with your district, with your section, or with an international opportunity? How do you take that next step if you have already been engaged at those lower levels, and what's next to stay engaged throughout your career?
Yeah, and I can build on that a little bit. One of the things when we were trying to come up with the topic was we would talk about something and it existed, but we didn't know it existed yet. And so, how do we get that information out to the people so that everybody's taking full advantage of the opportunities that ITE provides and the information that they provide? Because there's such a wealth of knowledge out there already existing.
Okay. Kate asks in the chat, how will you measure the success for your project?
I can take the question. So, first of all, we are primarily focusing on the member survey data, and we're planning to do some extensive analysis based on the outcome and survey input that is gathered through all the members across the not only US, but I believe from all the members from across the international regions as well. So that's would be our base platform, and we're going to measure on some success metrics or performance metrics based on some rigorous analysis. So that would be our first plan. But in addition to that, we have in longer term, we have more plan to get some additional input and data from different section level, district level, and chapter level, as well as we have some connectivity with the global level, so we can also get some data. And based on all the initial performance metrics, we can input the data to find out how we are well performing or where there is lack to improve and this sort of things. So that would be our approach, I think.
Okay. Farouk, I see your hand up.
Yes. So this is a great project, and LinkedIn is important as well, as you all know. My question would be, how have you thought about having a small one pager for how people can engage in the student as well as consultant and client? Because what happened is, what I've seen it in the global, once you have a good engagement of the students, they move out and then basically they go to a consultant or a client. And then at that stage, it's only the individual that we are focusing. Why don't we focus on, companies or clients? Have you thought about that process as well, that to educate and engage them?
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
Uh,
Cool.
yes, no, we have. That's one of the kind of potential ideas, especially for those one pagers, is prospective employers who are looking to support members. How to sell ITE, particularly to our, if we've got folks that are coming out of that student chapter going, this is great and I want to stay involved, to give them material to be like, here, boss, I want to stay involved. Here's how we can get involved. And also some of these other people might benefit too.
I would like to add with Sarah. So particularly as I have the experience to work in the academia, private industry as well as public industry, so I can tell you that the same information can be taken differently by the different user group or stakeholders. So we definitely can tailor and target oriented on pagers or resource information that we can provide for maybe private sector, public sector, as well as young student member or consultant or maybe like academic faculty. So definitely that's a great suggestion. Thanks for.
Well, thank you.
All right. And then in the chat, Steve mentions one of the biggest challenges communicating to such a broad audience, blast emails, they aren't always read. We have about 18,000 plus members. So how can you think about how you can put effort into refining and targeting your communication towards some of those subgroups without over communicating,
Yeah,
right?
that
We
was our
all get so many emails.
Sorry. That was our big thing. How is solving the problem with having too much communication, too much information, going by giving more information and communicating more, going to solve the problem? But one of the things that we noticed is maybe it needs that like in-person communication. So we think maybe, based on the survey results that we're going to end up focusing in one area. It's a pretty broad topic. And maybe that's the connection with DSC and giving them material to present at meetings so that they can share with their membership in a place where it's focused person to person. But I think that will come over time when we start getting into things.
Awesome. I think Mark Jacobson has some great comments in here. Sorry, Mark, I can't read all of that fast, but definitely wanting to communicate all the value that there is within the membership, because I know a lot of people that I know locally are just like, oh, I didn't know I could do all those things internationally. So, but they're used to their local side. And then we also have some people that only go to the district meetings and maybe that's it. So like you said, kind of like tailoring that when y'all get maybe some of those results would be really helpful, but definitely reading all of Mark's comments there. Kate says in here, like me, she's excited to see plug and play information, and she's wondering if that's intended for district leadership. The start of events is a great opportunity to also like plug a counselor committee.
Yeah, district sections, chapter, student chapter. I think the amount of information really, the idea is to give everybody, pick and choose what you want. When you're at your annual meeting, maybe you have a little bit more time to talk. When you're at a one-off event, you have a little bit less. And you might pick and choose something specific to highlight.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we developed a leadership ITE slide that we send out to every LAC now for the district meetings in hopes that they'll put it in a running slide. So that's another opportunity there. We give it to them, they just copy it over. So, all right, thanks. Any other questions for this group or any pointed comments that you're interested in them kind of navigating through? No? Okay, hearing none, I think that's going to be all of our groups. Thank you, Shark, so much for all of your input. We definitely have a great amount of chat going on. I like all the likes, all the comments. We will have the groups here. We're available for you guys if you want to provide any additional comment and stay on. Feel free to raise your hand if we want to make sure we don't kick you out by accident. But yeah, thank y'all so much for joining. Give the team a round of applause. Y'all did great on your topic presentations. So yeah, thank you, Sharks. We know some of you guys are going to be involved with these groups a little bit more, and we'll be sending out their mentors to them. They'll get a IBOD mentor, a Leadership ITE alumni mentor, and then a staff mentor. So we'll be able to connect them hopefully with all the right people, and y'all brought some great suggestions. So thank y'all so much for joining us, and we'll be sending y'all the info, but presentations will be in June this year. And so y'all will be getting that info more from Kathy. So thanks, everybody.